This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the faucet. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Adam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad, divorce dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
That's right, it's showtime, folks. Wednesday. I like Wednesdays. It's kind of like not too far into the weekend, not too beginning of the week. Just kind of getting my groove on. How the hell is everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood here. Sun is shining. The birds are chirping. Can't ask for too much more than that. I woke up. I hope you did too. I really do. A lot going on and a lot to be done. And I want to share it with all of you because life flies by. I mean, I mentioned it before. I take vitamins and things like that and supplements and put them in one of those medicine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday containers because I take multiples of them and it's just easier. You just do it and then last you the week. However, you don't realize how fast the week goes by. I've never really paid that much attention, but every time I have to refill it, which is quite often every week, but it's like, damn, I just did it. It's like the whole week. It's just really, I don't know if it's me or if it's because I'm doing that and I'm just, and it's like, damn, I just did this. But it just seems to me like things are moving a little bit faster than what I care for. So that's what I'm saying. Make good use of your time, your day. Take a deep breath. Love. Life is short, people. I want to enjoy every moment with all of you. Right here, Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday like clockwork, God willing, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm glad you're joining me. I am. Because if you're joining me, that means you're here. And that's a good thing. We got a great show tonight. We do. This is, we're going to do a show on dating tonight. But normally I have a woman that talks about it and this and that. Tonight I have Marc Katz, dating coach. He's going to be on this show. He's a dating coach for it's not funny, but I mean, for smart, strong, successful women. So he coaches women that do really well. And I guess, I can see that sometimes. I mean, they have a hard time finding a mate, one that will work. I think we all do at some point. I mean, but that's his niche, and he's been at it a long time, and he's doing very well with it, and it works for him, and it works for the people he's been, coaching for all these years on and off. I mean, the list he's got quite a bio, and but his reputation is real good, and we're going to talk to him about that. I want to know how, what's going on in the minds of the wealthy women, because I don't know that many of them. So I just want to know what we're going to pick his brain and talk about it right here on this show. That's coming up in a little bit. But first, as always, I can tell that in a minute. I want to tell you, every day as things are going on, I'm constantly thinking about things like, current events, things are going on. I'm going, God, I wish I could talk about that. And I start writing things down. It's like, God, I want to talk about this. God, I want to talk about it. But then I have guests and, and there's only so much time you can do things. And I'm really starting to miss. I mean, I know we do it almost once a month where I do a free for all, open phone lines and talk about whatever's on your mind. If you call in, you call in. If you don't, I'll just tell you things that are on my mind because I'm sure it's relatable because it has to do with life. Hence the show, Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show. But anyway, so I'm thinking about all this stuff, and I constantly want to just talk about it, and so I miss it. And there was a time, for those of you who are the longtime viewers, the top of the heap of the fan club, if you remember back in the day, we used to talk about, that's all I did. I talked about things. I did not have guests. I was relying on you, the phone callers. So I kind of miss that sometimes. And even though we do it almost once a month, I may do it a little bit more because I'm starting to get itchy again. I just like doing that. But anyway, that's nor here nor there. We'll get to it when we get to it. But right now, we're going to remind you, subscribe, please. Go to the YouTube and subscribe. My YouTube, after they wiped me out, I can't stress it enough. I had to rebuild. So please, until I get certain numbers up there, they're throttling me back. They don't give you much slack, especially after they punish you. All the other platforms, your Facebooks, your LinkedIn's. I know you're on those and you're going, why should I go over there when I'm watching you from over here? Well, please do me that favor. It just takes a second. Just hit the subscribe button. It's free. And just do that for me. I just need to make a mark over there again. And this time I'll try to pay attention. Now I know better. If I'm doing something that I know they're not going to agree with, I just turn that channel off and we just don't do it on that channel. But it was a live and learn situation. And also, for those of you who love the show, watch the show, but sometimes don't have time to, because I know time is precious. You're driving, you work. Go to Peter G, Google it, Peter G Show Podcasts on 25 different platforms. You can take it on the road with you, put an earbud in your ear while you're driving, while you're at work. Work is boring. There's so many topics, almost 300 shows to listen to. Even if the topics are the same and different shows, different guests, different perspectives, different opinions, good stuff. Just like tonight. Damn exciting stuff. But just go do that. I mean, take it on the road with you. It's the next best thing to being here. And I love you for it. I do. All right. As I said, coming up in about 2 minutes, I'm going to have Marc Katz on this show, and I got questions for him right here. But first thing we need to do is that we need to hear from our good friends over at Clean Star Products and their DX1 driver fuel additive. So I'll be back in a minute.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 Driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, folks. Clean Star Products, they got something that works. Let's face it, gas is expensive. Don't even have to go there. Cars are expensive. Make them last. I'm a car keeper. I don't, to me, it's not an investment. It's a tool. But all you have to do is go to Clean Star Products, get their little bottle of miracle fuel economy saving clean green product, put it in the clean oil change. This little bitty bottle goes in your average size car right here. And then drop one of these in every fill up of your tank, and you're going to save up to 10% in fuel. And it's California emissions approved. And believe me, if it passes California, it'll pass anywhere. And on top of that, it's going to, give your engine more lubricity, make things less friction, last longer, take care of your body, and your body will take care of you. Same thing with your car. If you want to talk to the guys at Clean Star Products, just go and email them. They'll talk to you if you want more information. But please, it makes sense to save some money. So go out and get you some. Tell them Peter G Show sent you. That'll work. All right, let's shift gears. I'm ready. Take a sip real quick. Woo! Smooth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, waiting in the wings. And believe me, when I tell you that it's taken me a while to get this guy on this show, that, believe me, it's taken me a while to get this guy on this show. So I'm excited because, again, I have questions, and I'm sure that you will too. And we're going to see what we can get with all this. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, dating coach to the smart, strong, and successful women out there. Marc Katz, how are you, buddy?
The music really sells it.
Well, it is what it is. Let me tell you, I got a little monkey in the corner right there, and he works for peanuts.
Okay, well done.
How you doing?
I'm great. Thrilled to be here with you.
Yeah, well, I am too, because again, from the time we talked back several years ago, I always had you in my mind, and it fascinates me. It really does, because I get the whole dating scene and all that, and especially as you get older, and but it's. I guess, I understand the different levels of it, and people make mistakes. I mean, it's trial and error, but then again, you've made a career out of, steering people in the right direction, mostly women, successful women. But why don't you just take a second real quick and give everybody a brief synopsis of who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and how the hell you do it.
I'm a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women. I've been doing this for 20 years. I began when I was 31. I was a Hollywood screenwriter. I wrote a book about online dating when I was working a day job at an online dating company in Beverly Hills. And unlike my Hollywood career, the book did really well. And suddenly I was on CNN and USA Today and Time Magazine, and I was just the same guy I was before. And I dropped out of film school and focused my energies on helping people date more effectively online. Built a business called eCyrano, writing people's online dating profiles. And online dating profiles led to people saying, oh my God, this is working so well. I'm getting all this attention. What do I do now? And so I would help people flirt. And for the first 5 years of my business, I was just an online dating coach who worked for both men and women. 5 years into it, I realized that 80% of the people turning to me were kind of the same kind of woman. Six-figure, college-educated, city-based person who has everything except for the guy and is really, really struggling. And so that's where my focus lies. And for the past 15 years, I've specialized in creating an all-encompassing curriculum called Loveu that helps women get unstuck from the belief that there's no good men and that dating's impossible at this age and online dating is the worst, and take you at this place where you're really vulnerable and struggling and get you into a relationship with a high value man who's worthy of you and treats you well. So it's my life's work. It started off as a bit of a happy accident, and 20 years later it's my passion.
Yeah. So you've been at it. That's what I was getting the point. You've been at it a long time, and you're busy. You're not like, just making believe you're busy. You're busy.
Yeah, this isn't like a side hustle. This is my career. I'm the breadwinner of the family. My wife doesn't work. I've got a podcast and a YouTube channel and ebooks and audiobooks and group coaching and private coaching. And yeah, I mean, this is everything to me.
Yeah, you got a great website, and we're going to talk about that as we get down into the thing. But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I've just seen through the years, like when things are getting tough, all of a sudden somebody will say, oh man, maybe I'll be a life coach or something like that. And, and I guess you can get your degree or this and that, but it doesn't always work out because it's a tough gig, to be successful at it.
I think there's probably more people who want to be coaches than there are people who need coaches. I mean, I think and I could understand. I mean, listen, I made up this job. I can't be on my high horse. I didn't, graduate, Harvard and spend, 30 years as a clinical psychologist. So on the internet, the barrier to entry to do anything is relatively low. I mean, anybody could start a blog, start a YouTube channel. I mean, anybody could technically do this. And then ultimately you're judged on, well, are people watching? Are people paying you to do this? And I'm very lucky that because I was the first guy there. I mean, there's thousands of dating coaches, but when I started, I was the first one. So, I have a lot of, I've definitely got my Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. I've been doing this for a very, very long time to have turned myself into an expert, even if I wasn't when I started.
I get it, but again, you know that sometimes people give it their all. At least they feel they give it their all, and sometimes it just doesn't click. And yeah, it's easier to sit back and, like I said, as life coaching goes and things, I see people, they like sometimes they're having trouble with their own life, yet they're saying, "Well, I could coach other people because it's easier than coaching my own self." But you've done really, really well, and I mean, you're out there, you're all over the place, you're constantly. I don't know who, all the media you put out. It's a lot, and believe me, I understand.
Thank you.
But and you, like I said, you're married. You've been married a long time, right?
Yeah, this year will be my 15th anniversary.
Okay, and you got a couple of kids, and life is,
It's easy to give dating and relationship advice when it's congruent, when you're walking the walk and you're not a hypocrite. There was a time in my career where I was a hypocrite. I was saying one thing and doing another, and that was the time before I was married, where I wasn't really listening to the things that I was saying. It was still decent advice, I just wasn't living it. And so when it's all congruent and it's authentic, I think people could usually feel that. Like, this is a guy who has a happy marriage, who's trying to reverse engineer the process and help me make better choices with my partners. Because usually the biggest problem people have is not that there's something irredeemably wrong with them, it's that their pickers are off. And so my premise is that you don't have to change to find lasting love. You just have to change your choice of partners.
And that's, again, hindsight is 2020. I mean, we all have gone there. We've all been there, done that. I'm living proof. I mean, I think the fact that you're married and stay married, anybody who is married, stays married, and is actually happy, gold star. I mean, because in this day and age, it's tough. The world is different, and money affects people, and the have and don't have, and I don't think anybody got married thinking I can't wait to get married so I can get a divorce. You know what I mean? Nobody thinks like that.
No, I think marriage isn't a dying institution. There's a reason people keep coming back to it. People want love. People need support. There's infinite number of longitudinal studies that say the happiest people in the world are happily married. It's not to say that you can't be happy as a single person, especially if you're in a miserable relationship. Getting rid of the miserable relationship will make you happier. But take someone who's happy being single and add a loving partner into it. I don't know anybody who doesn't take advantage of that. So usually the reason people don't strive for love is because they've been burned so many times before, and so they're playing it safe. It's a sort of safe solitude, right? And when the pandemic came along, it was actually ironically very good for business. A lot of people looked at their life and said, I don't know I want to be alone for the rest of my life. I mean, I could keep really busy. I could throw myself into my work and my hobbies, but it sucks coming home and not having anybody to talk to. It sucks having no one to put on my medical insurance forms. It sucks not having anybody to share the joys and to pick me up after a bad day. And so I'm genuinely like evangelical about the potential for a happy marriage.
I get it, but again, picking. Let's go this way. If hypothetically, I have a ton of money, because that is definitely hypothetical. Okay, and to me as a man, if I had a bunch of money, I wouldn't care what the person I was dating or happy with was doing, so long as we were happy. But I just don't see that, like, from a woman's standpoint. The few women I know that do very well, it's like, I've got mine, where's yours? And I get that too. At a certain age, you need to be established, kind of, sort of. But then again, what was her name? That the movie star back in the day that she dated. She married the contractor that was working on her house. What was it? Black Diamond. She had a cologne. Michael Jackson's old. You know who I'm talking about. I know you do.
I'm pretty pop culture literate. I'd jump in if I could.
She was an old movie star. She passed away many years ago, but she ended up going through. She had many marriages with movie stars. But
Liz Taylor.
Liz Taylor. Okay, there you go. So she finally, after all the movie star relationships, she marries a contractor. And I mean, and they were together for quite a long time, but that ended up.
His name was Larry Fortensky, and I don't think that's the Liz Taylor is not the person you want to talk to about marriage.
Well, I get it. Okay, but I'm just saying. I guess I'm talking about the trying to find an equal. Is it equal in your heart? I mean, there's so many different variables that makes happy. And some people are willing to like say, I don't care about the money. It's more important to me that we're happy. I got plenty of money. I mean, do you find the odd relationships, or are they matched like, okay, you bring this to the table, I bring this to the table, and then we'll find out if we're happy? How does that work?
There's a lot going on, and we could spend an hour talking about this. It's called assortative mating. And people tend to go to what they perceive their level to be. Now, that's complicated in a couple ways. So, number one, it makes sense. If I'm college educated, I'm looking for someone college educated. If I make six figures, I'm looking for someone to make six figures. There's a certain rationale to that, right? That's because it's what people are familiar with, right? We are attracted to what we're familiar with. Even the things that are toxic, we're attracted to what we're familiar with. So, assortative mating makes a certain amount of sense, but it's hedged by the fact that the world is a rapidly changing place. There was a time, perhaps our parents' generation, where women didn't have educations. My mom got married at 21, married my dad, left her dad's house, moved into my dad's house, right? So second wave feminism in the 70s allowed women to say, hey, I don't want to be dependent upon a man, right? And be stuck in a bad marriage where I feel trapped because I can't make a living on my own. So the world's come a really, really long way in a positive fashion since then. So now we've decoupled a woman's need for security, right, from marriage. She can get her own education, get her own job, doesn't need a man, which is a good thing. Now we have another issue. The old mores haven't completely died out. And as you were saying, sort of prior to this question, if a man makes $150,000 and a woman makes $50,000, he's not going to spend a second thinking about that. Hey, together they'll merge. She'll contribute less to the household, but they're going to be fine. Role reversal: woman makes 150, man makes 50. She's still holding on to the idea that he should make more instead of seeing it as additive. And that, I think, is the thing that you're talking about, and is a recurring theme when you coach smart, strong, successful women.
Because he's a man. You just, it's like he's a man. He should blah, blah, blah.
Right. So we've got equality, right? And this is the one double standard. So many double standards work against women. Really, most double standards work against women. This is the one double standard that works against men. And I don't know that you could just wish it away. We can't parse out how much is biology, wanting to find a man who has the resources to protect and provide, right? Which is really sort of deeply ingrained, versus sociology, what we come to expect. The younger generation is better at it than the older generation, being more egalitarian, right? And so I always come down to not right or wrong when I coach people. I just talk about effective and ineffective. If you're a woman who's in the top 1% of wealth and you're holding out for a guy who makes more than you, you've just eliminated 99% of men off the bat, right? And we haven't considered any other factors besides money. Height, weight, age, education, income, or the external, plus the internal. Kindness, consistency, communication, commitment, character. We've already narrowed our dating pool by 99% to start. So I don't find dating up for rich women to be an effective strategy. And that's usually how I can get people to kind of move off of it a little bit.
I get that. I mean, that's my thing. But I guess, and then I want to move on, but just one more thing. In all your years of doing this, what's the percentage of women that have said, you know what? Yeah, he doesn't have a lot, but he's amazing and it works. I mean, what's that kind of percentage?
I don't think it's something you could reduce to a percentage. It's a decent question. I don't think it's something you could reduce to a percentage, because I work with, I have a blog that's reached 35 million people. I got a podcast that's been downloaded 2 million times. The number of people comparatively who pay me for my advice and then follow through and keep in touch is minuscule comparatively. So I can't do my own study on what actually happens. I can tell you, if you went to evanmarckatz.com, and clicked on the page called Love Stories at the top, and you went through 100 wedding photos, you would see a good number of them tell the story in their words. Evan, I never would have chosen this guy before working with you. So I get a lot of that, but I can't reduce it to a percentage.
Okay.
The overall percentage, Peter, of women who out-earn their husbands is close to 40%, though.
Okay. I just meant that, like, the ones that have the different hindsight of, yeah, I have a lot of money, and yeah, he makes way less than me, but look, I'm attracted to him. He's got a good heart. We're always, happy together, and it works. So I don't care. It's money. It like becomes almost secondary, even though you need it in the real world for the relationship.
I think do you want to continue to talk about this? Because I'm glad.
Yeah, real quick, and then we'll move. Yeah, please. Because I think that's a understanding.
It sets up. It's not that it's wrong. It sets up a paradigm that often both parties are uncomfortable with for the aforementioned reasons. A lot of men want to feel more accomplished, smarter, funnier. Women like to look up to men who are more accomplished, smarter, funnier, richer. So it's an issue for both parties. Men with women who are more accomplished and successful monetarily often feel insecure. Insecurity is generally not an attractive quality. So a lot of women report men feel insecure by me and my status, which is a real thing. And then simultaneously, those women are looking down on those men, and it's hard for a man to feel secure if his partner's looking down on him. So it's something that feeds off of itself. He is insecure about his place, and she feels that, and she contributes to that because she also expects him historically to do better. So it's really hard to just intellectualize your way out of those deeply ingrained expectations and roles.
Double-edged sword.
I sympathize both with the men who are not secure financially and the women who are doing so well that it seems like nobody could jump the bar that they've raised. And so I always encourage people, I encourage men to be more secured. You should not feel bad about who you are, but you can't act from a place of insecurity within the relationship because she won't like that or respect that or be attracted to that. And I also tell women, if the roles were reversed and a man made more than you wouldn't want him to look down on you, would he? And of course, the answer is no. And so there's logic and then there's emotion. And I could provide this logic, but emotionally, people kind of have to figure out how to process this themselves because there's a lot of good people who are missing each other because of these biases.
Again, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the guy feeling bad. I just figured it's just the way it is, and they just happen to meet and life just kind of worked out, even though the roles were reversed. I mean, I've seen a little bit of that. I don't see a whole lot of it, though, because I, too, feel the same way. It's like you want to, as a man, you want to be that guy, but, it doesn't always happen that way. I mean, there are women that are very wealthy, and it's like it just seems like just a shame to go to waste, especially if something's working internally, and then, all the external things are the things going against you.
Sure.
Okay. Here, I was scamming. You got a really nice website. I mean, a lot of stuff on it, and I'm going to direct people to that as we get into the show some more. But I was looking at some things that were saying your 6 steps, to the whole thing. Like, number 1, this is a big one because I think this starts from high school. Confidence.
What you're referring to, Peter, is what on my website is called the Pyramid of Love, which outlines the 6 pillars of my signature course, Loveu. The first one is confidence, then meeting men, dating, understanding men, relationships, and commitment. And so confidence is kind of the umbrella under which everything falls, because if you don't have confidence, it will bleed out into every other aspect of your life. If you don't have confidence, you're not going to write a very compelling dating profile. You're not going to be a confident flirt. You're not going to be great on a first date. You're not going to know how to make a first move. And again, I'm speaking to men, but this works for women as well. If you believe that all men are pigs and that you're too old and that guys are going to leave you or judge you or abandon you, and that the next guy that you date is going to be just like your terrible ex-husband, that is not a recipe for dating and relationship success either. So it's really hard not to carry all the failed experiences of your past into each new relationship. But the next person, I tell women, the next guy has nothing to do with the last guy. So you really got to compartmentalize that and give each person the benefit of the doubt and assume positive intent, and really look at dating as a skill rather than some random chance. Where's my partner? Where's my partner is not a dating strategy. No more than where's my money is a strategy for retirement.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you must be dealing with a lot of women that do get bitter and they want to date, but they can't let go of the past. How do you manage that?
The loveu is a 6-month course. We don't do any dating until the 7th week of the course. The first 6 weeks is all confidence, getting people to let go of their past, reframe their negativity, see the world through a glass half full rather than a glass half empty lens, overcome limiting beliefs. There's no good men in my city. Men my age are terrible. They're just looking for sex. No one wants commitment. Everybody just wants to text. All the things where there is a lot of reinforcement of those things. It's not like they're making those things up. We need to validate that. I would say, and again, I know I'm on a show with a man, I would say 90% of men are not capable of being good husbands, right? And that is my experience as a coach for women for 20 years. So I don't think there's a lot of bad people, evildoers. I think a lot of people just don't have their shit together. And so my job is to help my clients raise the bar for what they come to expect from men and learn to say no to guys who can't make them happy in the long run. Lots of people could perform for a month or 2 or 3. Everybody could be charming in short doses. But is this the person who you could build the foundation of your life with? That, by the way, is another valid reason that women might want men with careers, is can I build something with him, or do I have to be the person to carry this myself, which is an additional burden?
To me, I mean, as growing up and going into this, the only way I have found is by trying. You can't know. And like, if I never dated this person, I would not know whether I was going to stay with them or not. I mean, you find out things. The longer you hang out with somebody, you start finding out things, and
yeah, but you could also listen, we all use heuristics, right? We use basically shortcuts, which are based on stereotypes, and stereotypes are not always true. But if I told you, Peter, hey, Peter, I got a woman for you. She's been divorced 4 times. The last time was last week. The ink's drying. She slept with 4 guys this week. Would you like to meet her? Answer's probably, if you're looking for a relationship, no. Right? Because she's not the picture of stability, right? So we can say, there are things we could generally tell about people to avoid pitfalls. So I tell women, no long distance relationships, no separated men, no men who are recently divorced, no men who don't know what they're looking for, right? If you want kids, no men who are unsure if they want kids. Like, we need someone who's ready right now, not based on his potential, or based on the tail of the tape, height, weight, age, education, income. We need someone who's emotionally available right now. Otherwise, you're taking a high risk that it's gonna blow up in your face. So we can say, oh, just take a chance. I tell my clients to avoid risk where possible.
how do you, how you get a woman to understand men? I mean, it's just like trying to understand a woman. It's complicated. They have their versions of what they think they should do, know, or ask, or be, or.
It's the reason that there's a 6-month video curriculum and an online community and weekly 2-hour coaching calls, is because it requires what we're doing right now. It requires dialogue. It is nuanced. There are multiple perspectives that we have to sort of piece together. Oh, she sees the world this way. He sees the world this way. What's the point on the Venn diagram where both of them could figure out a way to validate each other and get along? So the understanding men part, I don't think is, each person's an individual, but I think in general, men are easier to understand than women.
Oh no, I'm not arguing that. But from their perspective, it's a different view. I mean, we've always seen those jokes about like a board. Well, coming from the music world, there used to be like a rack-mounted piece of electronics, and it said men, and it's got one button, and it says woman, and it's got like 4,000 buttons on it.
Sure, and again, I try to take ideas, as we're doing right now, that are complicated, and try to simplify them to make them more digestible. And so if I just said, hey, men want to feel accepted, appreciated, and admired, would you say that's somewhat accurate?
Yeah, I think everybody would want to, wouldn't they? Right.
Yeah, but do you think that if we said that and you found a woman who could do those three things, and you look at your life and relationship history, I would bet that the women who didn't work out failed in at least one of those three things, if not all of those three things. Accept you as you are, appreciate what you do, and admire you for the man you are.
I think admiration. I mean, if you saw that look in a woman's eyes that she adores you, so to speak, internally, externally, that alone is a huge clincher, until all of a sudden, to me, it's like there's a little crazy button in there, and then that just threw it all at the door.
Hold. So I want to get validation of accept, appreciate, admires. 3 words. It's not the whole universe. There's 3 words. Yours was admire. Mine was accept. I dated 300 people. My wife was the first person to accept me as I was.
Yeah.
Everybody else was, I love you, but you got to change this and this and this. I found one person who accepted me. I put a ring on her finger. So for me, acceptance was the big one. So if we could say that accept, appreciate, admire is at least a decent shorthand for what men lack from their partners, let's flip it around. What do women lack from their partners? Feeling safe, heard, and understood. And the second you bust out, but the crazy, we've already demonstrated that she does not feel safe, heard, or understood.
All I'm saying is that based on what little time I've had on this planet, I mean, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden, it feels good, and you start spending more time, and then all of a sudden, like, wow, where the hell did that come from? And then, okay, you let it go, because I understand there's a lot of give and take. We have to, if you don't give and take on certain things and go, okay, it is what it is, and move on. But then all of a sudden, something erupts again out of nowhere, and you're going, okay, somebody's got some stuff that's been buried down that, or issues that need to be dealt with.
As a coach for women, I'm not blindly defending women. What I'm saying essentially is that you're representing your views, right?
Sure.
Here's me, here's men. I listen to women, they complain about men. Life is just a Venn diagram. If everybody just says, women are crazy, men are jerks, we don't get anywhere. Like, it accomplishes nothing to complain about the opposite sex. So, okay, let's validate. Some women are crazy. Okay, that in and of itself isn't going to help you get anywhere in your next relationship. And men are sex crazed, narcissists, and assholes. Not a very effective dating strategy either. So if we could just put all that aside and try to see the good in people and pass on people quicker when things are not working, if something feels off, instead of doubling down on it. If we keep saying no to the wrong relationships, that leaves it open for the right relationship. The problem is we try to make it work with the crazy person. We try to make it work with the toxic narcissist. And we wonder why we just sunk 5 years into someone who doesn't appreciate us. So the quicker we can cycle through those people, identify them in advance, the more pitfalls we avoid, the more we can invest in good people.
Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I do with every guest on my show, because yes, there's tons of positive, but I just kind of like to balance it out to get the questions that I'm going to get asked down the road, by somebody.
I hope I don't seem too frazzled by your questions. I think this is great.
No, not at all. This is why you're here. I mean, again, the world is, again, I've said this a million times for the show. Life is not a bowl of cherries. but it isn't bad, and sometimes you just, everybody has gone through bumps in the road and has problems and has been there, done that. And that's the whole thing. Like, I don't know whether it's since the birth of my child or what, but I've softened a lot, like internally, I'm sensitive, and I'm okay to say that, I'm not weak, but I am more understanding and more susceptible to like things that, a lot of things bother me more than what they used to. I'm just seeing what's going on in the world, but that doesn't make me a weak person. But at the same time, I'm also kind of like, because I've been around long enough, I kind of watch it too. Like, you're not going to see me jumping into anything. Like, a lot of people jump out of the frying pan into the fire, and that drives me crazy. And that's why I started out this show. It was a surviving divorce and single parenting. And we still talk about that. But I mean, this is the stuff, because especially when you have kids involved and all that, getting somebody new, you need to take a break and get your own self leveled out. But it's all interrelated. I mean, we're all on this planet together.
Agreed.
Okay. I mean, because, to me, it's, again, who doesn't want somebody to be with? I mean, to be loved and to love. I think that's a given, but I find a lot of people, and we were talking about confidence and things, a lot of women, I can't tell what they're thinking, and I sometimes, like, even myself, like, there's somebody that I would love to go talk to, but I just don't. And then come to find out a year later or 20 years later or something like that, and this is from my past, that they go, I always had a crush on you. And go, I never knew that. You know what I mean? And I never had the guts to go say anything. It's not like I'm a chicken. It just, you know what I mean? You deal with this on a daily basis. It's just, what a waste. But who knows, and I'm not one of those guys. Like, you see some of these people, they'll go and talk to 20 different women. It's a numbers game for them, but I'm not that kind of guy.
Right. I validate everything you're saying. And who's going to have more success with women? The ones who go up and approach them.
No, that's true. I mean, but that's the thing. But a lot of women, like, you don't know what they're thinking. Like, a lot of them, they're beautiful, and yet in their own heads, they still don't see it, and they're kind of off in the corner, or don't go out on Saturday night, or don't do this, anymore. And so, I just find a lot of that too. Like, no matter what you say to them, like, they're in their heads, they're still too fat, or this, or they don't,
That's I think anything you're feeling yourself, you could flip it around and apply to women. I think these are women who have everything going for them in one way, and they're dating relationships. Their choice in men has been such that it's eroded their self-confidence. So you might get her to acknowledge that she's attractive, or might acknowledge that she's got a big heart, or that she's intelligent or successful. There's no correlation between those things and making good dating and relationship choices, right? So this is a universal struggle. Just because you've got one strong muscle doesn't mean that all the other muscles are strong. And dating relationships is a skill. We just don't think of it. We think it's something that should just come naturally. But nobody thinks they should play piano naturally or be a programmer naturally. So that's the reason that I have a job, is that there's this thing that everybody just thinks they should naturally figure out, and try to break it down into component parts for women who've discovered, after years and years of failure and rejection and disappointment and confusion and frustration, that you shouldn't have to continue to struggle and do the same thing over and over and expect different results.
Again, also, now that I am getting older, and I know a lot of older, women, or not older, but women that are my age too as well. A lot of them have just kind of given up. They've just like said, you know what, I'm okay with being alone, or it's like, I'm not as, I don't know. And to me, that's crazy talk. It just because there's still, really great women who've just had enough, or, too many problems in their lives or whatever. And they just, I guess you start to recede, it's like, from not doing things, you just start forgetting how good it can be.
Right. And we talked about it at the top of the call. We call it safe solitude, right? If your whole history is, if I touch this hot stove, I get burned, and you've gotten burned 1,000 times, you're like, why would I ever touch the stove again? Right? It must be me, or it must be the stove. And my contention is, you've been choosing the wrong people. And if you always are attracted to the wrong people, then it seems like, all men are X, because those are the only men you've ever chosen. it's like shopping in the wrong aisle at the supermarket. You're shopping in the junk food aisle, and you don't even know there's a health food aisle right next to it. So you say, I'm just done. I'm not doing this anymore. And that's a rational choice. Because when I talk to people, the thing you outlined, they're coming in with their whole life history, and they're saying, so I'm going to believe some guy from the internet. I got 60 years of life experience that say relationships end in failure. And I got you telling me that that's not true? That's a pretty tall order. Except I got a really good track record, and I have the receipts to prove it. So to me, this is just another thing. It's changing careers. It's health and weight loss. It is a challenge, but there's absolutely a path. No one doubts whether diets actually work. It's not whether diets work. It's whether you have the discipline to stick to it.
You got to
want whether eating healthy is a good thing or not. So I try to give people a regimen that they could follow that produces results.
Yeah, you have to want to. You have to want to do anything in life. I had to want to be here. You had to want to be here. It's that, and no matter, and you're busy. I know that you just got through with what you were doing. You jumped onto this show, and then you're going to go back to doing what you got to go do.
Yeah, I got 30 women on a loveu coaching call every Tuesday night. That's what comes on after this. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's talk about modern day dating with dating apps and everything like that. I'm sure that they've all told you, about their experiences, or they've tried that before coming to you. How's that all going nowadays? Because I definitely disconnected myself from all that.
I think it's the way of the world. I don't think it's a good thing, but it doesn't matter whether it's a good thing. It's whether it's ubiquitous. If I've told any client who's ever come to me who doesn't like online dating, right? I hate online dating. I don't want to do online dating. I said, hey, listen, you're in a dating coaching program. If you can get yourself one date a week without online dating, you never have to date online. If you can meet enough people in real life, you never have to date online. No one has ever taken me up on that, Peter.
What do you mean?
No one I've ever worked with could procure a date a week without online dating.
Well, how are you telling them? Just go about their day and find somebody to date? I don't.
This is my point. I don't. Yeah. That's not what dating coaching is.
I know. Why would you want to date somebody every week? A different person every week. It's like, that's like speed dating.
No, it's just called date. It's just called dating.
Okay.
I don't know. If Peter, if you're unemployed, how often you want to interview for a job? Like once a month?
That's different. I get it.
It's not different. It's not different. It's systematic. If you're unemployed, I would think finding a job would be a high priority. And if you put in time every day to set up informational interviews, actual interviews, follow-ups, the more legwork you do, the more likely you are to procure employment. People who treat dating in a passive way tend to get passive results. When I was single, I would be online for a half hour a day. I would meet one or two people a week. If I met one or two people a week, which is not crazy breakneck pace, I'm not booking dates back to back to back to back. But if I went to dinner with one person a week, I got 50 chances a year to find love. The person who's like waiting, how many does the waiting person get? 4?
Okay, I understand. Now you're putting it into that perspective. Yeah, I get it now, but I don't know, maybe because I'm just. Here's the thing. I had a woman on. She's from Houston. She just released a new book, and it was called "The New Truth on Dating" because she's gone through it, and she's written a couple of books on narcissism and things like that. But she wrote a new book because of the way things are with online. Things have changed since 20, 30 years ago.
Indeed.
And so she said she met somebody and it was the guy who had a picture from 20 years ago, and she goes to meet him up at a restaurant or whatever. The guy looked nothing like what he looked like, which we hear all these stories all the time. And she bowed out after, she was nice. She stayed for a little bit, but then she says, look, I got to go. And that guy got really pissed off and was like, haunting her for a little while.
Okay.
Which is crazy. But so the app dating, a lot of people go through that. Like people put pictures from, and it can turn you off.
Peter, I wrote a book called I Can't Believe I'm Buying This Book. in 2003 about online dating. The observation you're making today is an observation I made 20 years ago.
Oh shit! I wasn't dating, I guess, in 20.
Well, my only point is, and
I get it. Look, people come on, I get all these stories from every angle. So I just, and they go, I've had it with online dating, and
that's fine. Again, I'm not here to argue with you. You're my friend. You're my host.
Yeah.
All I'm pointing to is this: what gets results, right? What is actually going to get you from point A to point Z? Anybody who wants to fall in love but doesn't date is not going to get to point Z.
No, yeah, I get it. And again, see, most of my life growing up, I was in bands and things like that. So life was different. I was always out there.
Right.
But for most normal people that go to work and they come home and if you don't get out there. So it's a little bit different from my perspective. But again, I'm going from these people that come onto my shows because I do relationship stuff, periodically. That's why I was glad to get you on here from a man's perspective that takes care of women.
Listen, every negative online dating story you could tell, I could tell you 20.
That's why I'm here.
Right? So it's not like anything you're saying to me is like, oh my God, it's unfathomable to me. You must be joking. I completely understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I'm saying yes, and it becomes like anything else in the world. Someone wants to start a restaurant. Well, did you know 90% of restaurants fail? Well, yeah, in a year. But someone starts a restaurant. So someone who says, did you know that 90% of guys who write to me online are losers? Okay, then pay attention to the 10%.
Now you're making. Now I feel like doggy downer guy. No, I get.
It's like you're right, and if we say I give up, it leaves us exactly where we are today.
But do you see the thing that I'm going at with this whole thing is that have I not asked you to tell this, to explain this, the and part to my listeners and viewers right now? This is like a gift of right there, because the same thing goes through so many people's heads and they don't think about the and there you are.
The glass is always half full and half empty. So it's just a choice. I listen to women complain about men all the time. Like it is my job. My wife jokes about me being like a sponge. At the end of the day, I wring out everybody's tears from their complaints about how terrible dating relationships, online dating, men, their city, sex. I get to hear the worst of everything. Yeah. And I get to take that and say, okay, what are we going to do now? And the answer is never to quit or never to assume the worst in other people. And how do we refine our processes to get only high quality candidates on first dates, invest less time when it's not working, and value people who show up and act with kindness, consistency, communication, commitment, and character. And those people are rare, but they exist. And that's that 10% slice. That's where all the happily married people are.
Again, thank you for bringing that out, because this is the whole premise. Like, I'm just the middle guy here. You've been doing this a long time, and that's why I kind of like asking these kind of, they may be negative questions or not, but they're positive in the return that you're giving. And
that's questions. They're completely normal questions. Again, I'm not surprised that you feel this way or that your listeners, your guests feel this way. This is kind of what it's like someone fighting against political polarization and saying, oh my God, everything's so awful. And there's a lot of evidence that things are really awful, but I still think people are good. And I think if we could find that point in the Venn diagram where we could listen to each other politically, it's sort of the same thing. It's just we focus so much on what's wrong, we don't focus on enough what's right.
Oh, that is the truth. Again, my motto is love is the key. I mean, I'm getting soft in my old age, but speaking of, as I told you, time just flies faster than I thought. I want to talk about what you got and how to get a hold of you and things like that, because you do have a very well put together website, because I had to go and check you out deeper. Actually, again, I've been following you on and off for a long time, but I went into depth. And let's tell everybody, the podcast you do, but that people can find you at www.evanmarckatz.com, correct?
Yeah, go to my website. I have 300 podcasts, 1,000 blog posts for reader questions I've answered over the years. Go in there, take the quiz on the homepage. We'll send you free dating and relationship advice. You could subscribe to me on any platform, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And just as long as I'm in touch with you and I can give you some free advice, if you like the free advice, maybe in and of itself, that changes your whole life, because I send out 2 or 3 newsletters a week. I post on social 4 or 5 times a day. So there's no shortage of content. Just know there's a big difference between ideas and execution. So if you really want to get the best results, make sure you go to my website. I want to make sure everybody gets a free gift today. So you can go to www.evanmarckatz.com/dating and give me your name and email address. I will send you the 7 massive mistakes you're making in dating, and as a free gift. And I'll show you that pyramid of love I was talking about, and some free videos. And again, I'm just grateful to be able to share a somewhat optimistic message about love in a very pessimistic world.
Wait, what was that? What was that? The free gift slash what? Because I might need that.
I can give you multiple free gifts, but the one I wanted to offer today is the one /dating, evanmarckatz.com/dating.
Okay.
And we'll send you a 25-page PDF with the 7 biggest mistakes that people make to sabotage themselves when it comes to dating.
I'll make sure they put that up when they do the short clips for the future. But how often are you still doing the podcast? And if you are, how often do you do them?
Yeah, I release a new podcast Friday afternoon, and I've been doing it since 2016 or something like that.
Is it weekly? Are you on a steady schedule? Or
yeah, no, I'm metronomic with my consistency. I blog twice a week for 15 years. The podcast does come out every Friday on every platform. I do a video version of it. I record it and put it on YouTube and cut it into little clips for social media, and on any audio platform as well, Apple, Stitcher, etc.
So if people are they able to subscribe at your website or something to be notified for these kind of things?
You can go to any of those platforms, and it's Evan Marc Katz, the Loveu podcast. It's called the Loveu podcast with Evan Marc Katz, and you can subscribe. And again, it's just they're usually the oldest episodes are an hour. Then I did episodes that were 10 minutes. Right now we're doing ones that are a half hour. So we're constantly sort of changing the format based on my mood. But it's free, and it's interesting stuff, and it'll make you think, and hopefully you can take some of this and apply it to your real life. So the most important thing is, if you found this compelling, take action. It's very easy to listen to a podcast and assume that nothing's ever going to change, that the opposite sex sucks, online dating sucks, your city sucks. I'm not denying that any of those things are partially true. It's that it's never totally true. So don't pay too much attention to the 90% that's getting you down. Let's find you from the 10% of things that are good. All you need is 1 to make this whole thing worth your while.
True. Don't give up on love, because life is short. One last question here: your program that you have, that's called Loveu, as in Loveu University. Is that what it's kind of short for?
Yes, Loveu. If you found this very compelling and you want to take real action, not just read free stuff, go to evanmarckatz.com/apply. Watch a 20-minute video, a secret formula on how to fix your broken man picker. At the end of that video, you'll be given an opportunity to apply for Loveu. We only take people who are qualified applicants into the program. It's an exclusive group of people who are highly motivated, smart, strong, successful women who have everything but the man, and really giving you the step-by-step process to get the relationship of your dreams. So if you just want the free stuff, go to /dating. If you want to apply to Loveu, click /apply.
Wow. Excellent stuff. I want to ask you the final thing. If you could leave anybody with any last bit of wisdom before I let you go, because I know you got things to do, but I mean, if you can just leave them with anything for, a minute's worth of, hey, before I leave you, just remember this, what would that be?
Good relationships are easy. If your relationship isn't easy, you probably shouldn't be there.
Wow, that's short, sweet, and to the point.
I feel very strongly about that. Everybody's been taught that relationships are a lot of work. Bad relationships are a lot of work. Good relationships are easy. And if you don't have one, you should strive for it and keep on passing up things that feel like work.
Gotcha. Food for thought and good. Again, people think of things differently, and sometimes you feel like, well, you just gotta, I don't know, the bumps in the road, it'll pass, and then years go by, and you're still in the same boat, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but
all I would say is if you make wise choices at the beginning, you don't have to continue with that down the road. People stay in bad relationships for many, many reasons. I'm not telling everybody that they should get divorced. What I try to get people to do is make better decisions up front so that they're not lamenting, God, this is really hard. I feel trapped. There's not been 1 second in my 15-year marriage where I ever wanted out. We have that is because I went on 300 dates prior to know what it should feel like. So a lot of people associate relationships with struggle, and that doesn't have to be that way.
No, but also to me, like dating, is in the beginning, it seems like it's almost as good as the best part of the whole, that's the biggest highlight, and so everything is great in the beginning, that, so it's hard to differentiate. Like, I don't know, sometimes again, that picking when everything feels great because everybody's on their toes, in the beginning.
So what if we could turn that picking thing into a science, so it was felt a little less random than I'm attracted to her, I'm going to sleep with her, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, which is most people's strategy. Maybe there's another way to evaluate this that could lead to better long-term outcomes. And that's the thing that I offer people, is better tools of discernment to avoid getting themselves into predictable situations where it's going to blow up.
Well, the secret is right there, and you have the answer to the secret. And I urge people, if they want to find out more about Marc Katz and his programs and the podcast and everything on your website, to go to www.evanmarckatz.com and find this man and learn something. Because again, I can't say enough. Life is getting short. It's just going.
Peter, I appreciate your generosity today. I thank you for sharing me with your audience and giving me an hour of your time. I hope I acquitted myself well, and I hope I made a small difference in the lives of whoever was listening today.
The one thing about this show is it snowballs. It's the gift that keeps on giving. That's why to me, the lives are great, but it's down the road that the payoff really seems to come through. And again, I know that we've gone back and forth in schedules and things like that. It's been kind of crazy, but all I can say is thank you for coming on. And it really was good to see you again, and
you too as well, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see what happens down the road. And who knows, we may pick it up at another point in time for a different level of this. Okay.
Great. Love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, last time, take a look right there in the flesh, Marc Katz, and go to his website and check him out, because he obviously knows a hell of a lot more than I do. That's why he's on this show. So, hey, I love you. I'll see you later. So wave goodbye to everybody.
Take care. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Huh? What'd I tell you? Hang on a minute. See, there is hope. And for those of you who lost hope and don't have the hope anymore, there is hope. Go check out what he's got. I'm telling you, it's a very broad and wide website he's got, full of positive things. Again, we've got enough of the negative stuff. Yes, I brought up all that because I had to ask him so he can bring me the positives. But that's why he's on that show. And that's why I've been wanting to come on this show for so long. And now I'm glad that we got that, in the can, so to speak, because it's going to bring nothing but, the gift that keeps on giving for you, the viewers. And I love you guys for taking the time to watch. Speaking of taking the time to watch, don't forget, please go and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I'm desperately trying, not desperately. Yeah, I am. Not desperately, but wanting to get that back up and going, since they pretty much decimated me and told me not to talk about certain things on their channel. But go hit the subscribe button. But again, I know we have all these other different platforms. We started on Facebook Live, and I love all my Facebook Live watchers and true devoted, longtime viewers. But if you haven't taken the time to just go hit subscribe there, just please do. Don't forget, you can't watch and you don't have time because you're driving in the car. I know people that have long commutes. Google Peter G Show podcast and just take the show on the road with you. You can listen to it anywhere while you're working. Again, hundreds of shows with many, many topics about life. And we have some totally ridiculous stuff too, which I'm kind of proud of. I don't mind. I mean, I'd rather be laughing than crying any day. So we do some stupid stuff too, just to kind of, breathe a little bit easier. It can't all be the tough stuff. Although the tough stuff is good, it needs to be brought out. And that's why I'm here. But that's important. And that's basically it. My name is Peter G. You've been watching Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, right here, wherever you're watching it from. And I love you for it. And again, my constant reminder, be kind. Life is tough. Even as we spoke about the dating stuff and things like that, life is tough. You don't have to be an ass, but you don't have to take a lot of crap from people either. Just even keel. Think before you speak, before you bark. I'm living proof. Sometimes you just get to that point where you've just had enough, but I'm really learning that life is worth living. We just forget because we get pounded by all the junk that comes around us, and there's so much of it right now. We need to stay together, folks. Dividing us is not good, and they're really doing a good job of it. Just remember why we were all friends and family and all that. There was a reason behind it, okay? Again, I thank you for watching Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast, God willing. So until the next time, as always, before I get there. Oh, yeah, there we are. I love you guys, and peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad.